What was that noise? I have so many questions. I'm so confused. What's happening? That was the wind? Oh, it was the howling of a beast. Okay, I was like, what kind of weird-ass wind is that? The sound of the wind was louder than usual that night. Also, I could hear the howling of the beast that I usually didn't, which made me really worried. The noise dragged my consciousness from the bottom of my sleep. It's kinda noisy today. Shalu would also usually be awake in times like this. She's more sensitive to noise than I am. So of course, I expected her to respond. Shalu? But no matter how long I waited, there was no reply. Thinking this was odd, I went across the dark room and stood in front of Shalu's bed. In front of her empty bed. Solana! Wake up, Solana! Wake up! Panicking, I forcibly shook Solana. Solana got up looking dull and tilted her head when she saw my expression. What happened? Shalu's gone! Solana looked at the bed, which was nothing more than an empty container? And after seeming to think it over, she stood up. I'll go check the bathroom. Then I'll check the dining room and the kitchen. If she's not there, then I'll look around here. After nodding to each other, we ran to our respective destinations. I'd looked in the dining room and the kitchen, but Shalu wasn't there. I ran into Solana on the way, and she hadn't seen Shalu in the kitchen either. A bad feeling swelled up in my chest as a cold sweat flowed. Where did you go, Shalu? Just because I can't see it doesn't mean that a big problem isn't happening. An indescribable anxiety began to swell up as I knew that mentally I hadn't been convinced. Could that stubborn Shalu really change her mind so easily? Knowing that, I wanted to go back in the past and punch myself for not looking into things more deeply. Please don't be thinking about something weird. I continued to run, while suppressing my anxiety. As I got closer to the first district's wall, I heard a disturbing noise. No! Let go! Let go of me! That's... Squinting at the middle of the buzz, I froze like a stone statue. Having been constantly running, my body should have been running hot, but a cold sweat ran across my body, giving me an unpleasant, chilly feeling. I blinked and checked again. Near the gate, and surrounded by more than a dozen men, was... Shalu! She was pressed into the ground. It was a horrible sight. It didn't look like that law was being observed here. Stop it! I returned to my senses and rushed through the crowd to Shalu. However, I was restrained by a man who noticed me, and I couldn't even touch her. Naala! Shalu! What? As I was about to ask, my breath was taken away by the sight of the person before my eyes. The large brown hands holding Shalu down, the tattoos peeking out from under his clothes, the lips that mimicked a cunning smile. I traced a glance at that which I had once denied, and a chill ran down my spine with a bad feeling. What is happening? What is actually going on? I am... Just what do you think you're doing?
Pretty obvious, isn't it? Hunting. I'm on the hunt.
He grabbed the restrained Shalu's arm and pulled her up with ease as if she were a rabbit. Pulled up against the muscular man's chest, Shalu's face went beyond pale and white. I felt the urge to punch him in the face, but was then reminded of the current situation of being in a pinch. SUREN looked particularly amused at my face as I ground my teeth in frustration. I don't get what's obvious. Is it okay for the military commander to go breaking the law?
Don't say such weird things. When did I break any law?
You're breaking the law right now. The king won't stay silent if you keep abusing the Roos women like this.
Well, usually. But it's different this time. That grace period is revoked for any woman who tries to escape.
Escape? Shalu? When asked, Shalu, as her face went pale, didn't answer me. She only twisted her trembling lips together and looked at me with crying eyes. What do you mean by revoked?
It's exactly what it sounds like. If a woman tries to escape, as a punishment her grace period is revoked, and she must be married that night.
Escape? Was Shalu planning to escape? Leaving us, who she made a vow with, behind? My thoughts freeze for a moment, and I immediately shake my head as if to say that's not possible. No, there's been a mistake. It must be a misunderstanding.
Then why did you go outside of the first district at this time of night? And moreover, with all this stuff? Explain.
A piece of paper was held up. I traced the meticulous diagram drawn on it with my eyes, and was astonished. Is this the royal capital?
Hey, you.
Keeping his gaze upon me as I was frozen in place, SUREN brought his lips close to Shalu's ears. A nasty voice, seemingly kept low and quiet, can be heard by everyone here.
And how many times did you sleep with a guy in order to get this? Tell your best friend over there.
No, I never did that! A guy. I suddenly thought of the face of the man I saw the other day, the son of the family that designed the royal capital. Maybe Shalu got the map from him, and then tried to run away by herself. Why? I believe in her. I want to believe in her, but my bad feeling only grows. The voice, wanting to deny it, trembled uncharacteristically. No, I will believe in my friend. I don't care. And even if she wanted to escape, I'm not gonna hold it against her. I'm not. That's wrong, isn't it? Why? I was trying to protect! I was trying to protect you! Me? What do you mean? Actually, I only wanted you to escape from here. But you'd never leave so long as we're all here, right? That's why... So you took the map and ran away. If I could give this map to Lord Auri, he'd take action. If he knew where the women were, he'd save you. That's what I thought. I was willing to die for that to happen. Shalu. Her tearful confession cuts deep into my chest. I was so upset that my vision blurred. Okay, she wasn't betraying you. She was doing this to try to get you safe. She's like, I'm losing her. I gotta make moves. We can't just wait for the king to come and rescue us anymore. Oh, Shalu. My existence makes you go that far? I wish we'd talked about this more back then. Maybe I could have stopped her. My chest feels like it's going to split open from regret. A despair blacker than the darkest night fills my eyes.
And now that the tearful little powwow has come to an end, we're done here. I'll be taking this one.
What? Huh? Both Shalu and I tilted our heads, stunned and with intense nausea. A red light flickers in the back of my head, letting me know of an impending crisis. No way. No way, no way, no way.
What are you surprised about?
What?
I told you before. A woman who tries to escape must be married that night. I caught her, so this prey is mine for the taking. Or rather, the eating.
A glimpse of his red tongue poking out through his lips near Shalu's ear. Perhaps because of the venom in his voice, the gesture seemed particularly lewd.
Now, how shall I devour this one?
Horrified, I got goosebumps in an instant. I can see that his phrasing is intentional in order to scare us. Shalu shook her head, her entire body trembling slightly. No! No! At this rate, Shalu's body and soul will be ravaged. Panicked, I shouted out quickly. Stop! I don't care if my arms are bound, or if I'm broken, or even if all my bones are pulled from my body. I can't sit here and do nothing. A provocative voice stung my brain, which was boiling with such anger.
Oh, you want me to stop that badly?
Of course! If you're going to hurt Shalu!
Then, you want to take her place.
His purple eyes squinted at me as he continued what I was going to scream out. I felt as if my body were restrained in an instant due to his intimidating presence. The provocative sound is still there, but there's also a sense of tension that doesn't allow me to back down.
You were in a trio with her, right?
Yeah. What does this change in attitude mean? I nodded awkwardly, revealing my alertness.
That's good. Then you have a way to save your friend here.
With an exaggerated gesture, he spreads out one arm and emphasizes his words. It's like he's putting on a show. Turning a skeptical gaze towards him, SUREN's shoulders shook as he laughed, as if something were unbearably funny. What? Is this how we're getting onto your route? Is we're taking Shalu's place? Is that really what's happening? Like, good lord. This is a mess. This is a big old mess is what this is. Trio rule. One of the first laws imposed on the women kidnapped by Roos. The women are put into a group of 3. There is a reason for this. Oh, right. I forgot that Toya was about to explain, and then SUREN's like, oh, let's not freak them out. I forgot that was like ages ago. I guess we're learning about it now.
The trio rule was made for occasions just like this.
Occasions like this?
Yeah, in case some stupid broad is actually able to escape. Prisoners need to be shackled, don't they?
Shackles? For when a woman escapes? You mean that trio rule? As soon as I realized it, I was horrified, almost trembling. If one escapes, then one of their partners will be punished for it. That's probably how the trio rule works. Right, because what are the odds they actually get that woman who escaped back? It's kind of rude not to tell everybody that that's a rule, though, because it's like, hey, if you get out, you're screwing over your trio. Cool. I see. That's most definitely shackles. And it's the worst of the worst, manipulating human emotions. It's an awful deception, that behind what seems to be a concession is a rule with such a terrible nature. I wonder if Shalu still would have tried to escape if she knew about this. That's what I'm saying, so why didn't you tell these women? No, she would have thought about what happens if she failed, and wouldn't have. You said there's a way for me to save her.
Yeah, I did. Through the trio rule.
He stroked Shalu's paper white cheeks and then pointed at me with his fingertip.
If one escapes, one of the remaining 2 will be punished instead. In other words, a punishment substitute.
Anticipation turns into certainty. I spat bitterly as I pushed it out through the gap in my teeth. The reason why you didn't let Toya finish explaining wasn't that you were concerned for the women's mental state, was it? You took advantage of Toya's concern for the women.
And why do you think that?
Because no one would have tried to escape if they knew about it. You've been waiting for this to happen. Oh boy.
For what purpose?
A man like you would never bow down and ask me to marry you. You set things up so that I would have to ask you.
In other words, you've walked right into my trap.
Isn't it a sin to plot against the king?
Don't be silly. I did things in such a roundabout way because I respect Lord Toya's wishes. Feel free to admire me, but he can't blame me.
Snickering, SUREN put his free arm into his pocket. He takes out a neatly rolled paper, dexterously removes the string with one hand and unfolds it. Okay, that's impressive.
Well then, here's the problem. Do you know what this is?
I stared at the paper and read the words on it. As I came to understand the content, deep wrinkles were carved between my eyebrows. Marriage consent form.
If someone's name isn't written here, then this little fugitive is gonna meet a pitiful end.
The moment Shalu sensed his intention, she was about to scream, but SUREN blocked it with his big hand. With her mouth blocked, Shalu's only free movements were with her eyes, which, bloodshot, desperately appealed to me. Yes, even without her voice, I already knew plenty what she wanted to say. Does this punishment substitute rule still apply if the escapee comes back? In other words, in this situation.
It does.
And if that happens, you won't harm Shalu.
Yeah, if you do what I want.
Then... I take a deep breath and ask myself internally, what do I want to do now? What choice will I not regret? I was conflicted with the various emotions running through my head. Finally, I raised my eyelids with determination. I will act as the substitute. Damn, I don't even get a choice! We're just in it! So, oh man, I am so... how... Okay. Because I thought we were going to get a choice here. And then it's like, you can agree. And then you get onto SUREN's route. Or you don't agree. And then like one of the other guys comes and bails you out. But it's like, nah, you just agree. So I wonder if like the affection thing is important to deciding what happens at a certain point in the story. Like maybe that when Haru comes to visit. Maybe it's a different visitor each time or something like that. Or, I don't know. There's so many ways this could play out where you have like a different scene with a different guy. I don't know. Unless you always end up engaged to SUREN and then you break it off later. There's so many potentials with this. I can't believe we're in this situation. Oh man, this sucks. Okay, well, here we go, I guess. Good luck, everybody.
A wise choice. Come, my bride.
Throwing the restrained Shalu to his subordinates, SUREN outstretched his hand towards me. I swallow my spit and put my weight forward in order to move. But my feet felt heavy, as if sandbags were strapped to them, and my body felt like it was turning into lead with each step. The moment I finally touched the hand that was offered to me, what welled up in my heart was not elation at the prospect of marriage, of course, but despair.
Sign it.
He has me hold the brush that his subordinates prepared for me and orders me to sign it with his chin. It means to sign it properly. Use your full legal name. Fine. You're surprisingly serious. I spoke sarcastically, but SUREN replied in an unexpectedly serious tone.
It'd be a problem if someone said I'd force you to do this later. With a written oath, not even the king can overturn that.
I clutched the brush while I feel an uncomfortable sweat trickle down my spine. I held down my hands, on the verge of trembling, realizing just how thoroughly I'd fallen into his trap. I took a deep breath and prepared to sign it. Stop it, Naala! Please! I'll receive the punishment! No, I won't stop. You made a decision for me, without fear of death. I would rather take your place than do nothing as you're ravaged. I never want to feel the pain of regret for not having protected those precious to me again. I feel the same way! It was heartbreaking, because I could feel how serious Shalu was. But knowing how she felt didn't change my resolve. I looked away from Shalu, who was pleading with me. Naala! As soon as she realizes that she can't convince me, she yells at SUREN. Please! Take me instead! I'm the one who committed the crime, so I should be the one punished!
I refuse.
Why? Hey, please! I'll do whatever you want! I won't say no again, so please, take me!
You're not my type. If I'm gonna get married, it's best to marry a woman I'm into, right?
I've signed it.
Good. Show me.
After confirming my name in writing, he raised it high so that everyone could see it.
Everyone here is a witness. This woman becomes my wife of her own choosing. Yes!
It's kind of like watching a magnificent farce. When thinking about what's going to happen from here, I almost laughed dryly.
Alright, let's go.
To where?
To my house, of course. Well, starting today, it's your house too.
I can't believe this is happening. I'll laugh since Naala can't laugh. I'll laugh for her. And I'm just like, could you imagine being in this situation? Like, I would just snap, I think. Oh gosh, where do we go from here? No! No! I won't accept this! This is wrong!
Let's go.
Stop it! She was taken away, half being dragged. I tried my best to force Shalu's resounding screams out of my consciousness. I should have been relieved to be able to protect a precious friend, but why? I felt a pain heavier than death digging deep into my chest. Okay, well, I guess we're gonna get a look at our new place. When I arrived at the mansion where SUREN lived, I was passed through without seeing any other members of the household. The interior is quiet, dominated by darkness, and only the sound of our footsteps echoes in the air. I wonder how many rooms there are. Although I couldn't get a clear picture, my mouth stopped working. My brain has stopped, and now, like, the connection to my mouth has also stopped. I'm fine. Although I couldn't get a clear picture as the moon was obscured by the clouds, I could see from the size of the gate and the length of the corridors that it was large enough to be suitable for a person in an important position.
And there's the restroom, and that's the bathroom.
This guy just, like, casually, like, and that's the powder room, and there's the bathroom, and there's the second bathroom, and there's the ensuite bathroom. Casually giving us a tour of his house. Whatever he was thinking, SUREN began giving me a tour of the mansion as soon as we arrived. It's better than him suddenly forcing himself upon me, but it's even scarier because I can't figure out why he's doing this. And while I was on alert, a proposal I could never have dreamed of came flying in, and I stopped walking.
Ah, is this good for your room?
Huh? I have my own room? As a person who was prepared to be treated like a prisoner of war, it didn't feel right to suddenly be told I had my own room. Being wary, I ask as he starts to proceed without me. SUREN turned around with a face that the question was incomprehensible and folded his arms.
You don't need your own room. Ah, is it that you want to stay with me?
I'd be happy to have my own room.
Then this is it. This room gets the most sun.
Gosh dang it, I'm getting Beauty and the Beast vibes again. This is not good. I'm like, oh no, I'm getting the vibes. What's he up to? Make me hopeful, but then actually inside it's some kind of torture room? My throat squeaks as SUREN, whose body is half in the room, beckons for me. But I have no choice but to proceed. I decided to protect Shalu, even if I have to use my body as a shield. I took a break and took a bold step forward. When I opened my eyes, which had been previously shut out of fear, I found a number of torture devices. You did you? Also known as a clean bedroom. It's quite nice. A little dark, but I'll wait till the morning sun comes in, I guess. Huh? I stiffen after a single step. I couldn't move, not out of fear, but out of confusion as to how to react. There are no torture tools.
Is that what you're into?
No, shut up. No. But given that it's you, I thought there'd be one or two tools to exact pain, or even the whole room would be set up like that.
How rude. I'm not into hurting my own wife.
Then what's with what you said earlier? I'd like to retort back. But if I complain now, I might not be able to serve as the punishment substitute. I swallowed the objections in my chest and looked around and saw the beautifully arranged bed and furnishings. Everything is all there, making it difficult to believe that this room was decided upon just now. For example, the bedding is made up in a way that women would like, and there are even women's cosmetic boxes on the shelves. Oh no, he's thoughtful in some ways, but he's also a brute and also the worst. Oh no. I'm gonna have to chew on my tongue for this one. This is... Did your ex-wife live here?
Huh? This is my first marriage.
Then you had a live-in girlfriend.
I wouldn't bother with such a pain-in-the-ass relationship like that.
Ah, so then you had a parade of women come through here.
No, you're the first I've ever let in here.
But there's plenty of women's things here.
Don't concern yourself with that.
It's hard to believe, but could he have prepared all this for the day that he'd get married? How could this guy do something so cute? Okay, good. I'm with Naala, you and me on the same page. Like, how did we go from punishment substitute to he's been meticulously decorating this room for his wife one day? How are we here? And everything looks pretty expensive. As I looked at each one with admiration, I heard a low male voice from the corridor.
Master, what shall we do about the supervision?
Supervision? I hadn't felt his presence at all, so I wondered when he came. As I stared at the closed door in amazement, SUREN only turned his face towards it, looking annoyed.
We'll say that you did it. I don't need supervision. Understood.
The voice outside the door disappears on command. I didn't hear any footsteps moving away, which creeped me out with the possibility that he was still there. Supervision?
Usually a supervisor is needed to ensure that the punishment has been enacted without deception.
You mean with someone watching?
Yup. Well, I'm not into being watched, so I'll cheat that rule appropriately.
That helps me out as well. While responding, I tilt my head at the strangeness of the situation. There's no reason to talk casually to the person who is trying to enact a punishment on me. SUREN said he wasn't interested in causing pain, but there could be other ways to torment, such as emotional distress. Considering what I'm about to be subjected to, I can't let my mind wander. If I'm not careful, I'll end up suffering so much more later. So, what am I supposed to do? With a sigh, he turned around in a bold motion. He's probably going to lead with some mental torture, demand that I kneel before him, or lick his feet, something like that.
I demand we cuddle at once.
As I clenched my fists and braced myself, SUREN folded his arms and leaned his back against the door. His usual wicked smile is gone, and in its place is an expression that makes it difficult to tell what he's thinking. There was a pause where he seemed to be thinking, and when I got impatient, he opened his mouth.
Right. Anyway, get undressed.
Considering what I was going to have to do from now, that's a natural order. But it still makes my shoulders tremble the moment I heard it. I should have been prepared for this, but my heart aches as if it's been crushed.
Hurry up already. Or shall I go get that Shalu woman?
I just have to get undressed, right? What kind of humiliating orders will he give me while I'm naked? I was nauseous just from the thought of it, and I took off the garments I was wearing one by one. The whole time, SUREN was looking at me without taking his gaze away from me. The last piece fell to the floor, and a relentless gaze crawled over my skin. As I endured the cold air and shame, I heard a strangely happy voice. What? Do 5 what? Are we here just to suffer? What's happening? I'm on such a roller coaster of emotions right now.
You've got a nice body. You could probably do 5 or so.
Huh? I lifted my face, wondering what he meant by 5. People? That's the only thing I could think of, too. People? SUREN was watching me with his hand on his chin, looking at me like I was some kind of pig or cow in the market. Oh, 5 children. But they're only innocent in the womb.
The more children, the better. Especially since the ones you're going to give birth to will be important heirs for me to become an aristocrat.
You can become an aristocrat if you have children?
Yeah. If a commoner becomes a military commander, he can become an aristocrat if he can produce an heir with his formal wife.
Oh, that's why you were so interested in getting married. I see. You've got ambitions, I'll give you that much. So, you needed to get married then?
You could say that.
What other reason would there be? Then why didn't you just get a prostitute?
I'm gonna marry her, right? If I'm gonna get married, I want someone my type. A good woman with a strong body who no one else's hands have sullied. In that respect, you got the face, body, and strength.
Thanks. I like that we're both like, thanks? Yep. Is that supposed to be a compliment?
Yeah, that's the highest compliment I can give.
I'm not at all happy to be praised in this situation. Moreover, I'm a bit miffed at his selfish way of saying it.
Well.
I glared at him with irritation, but SUREN walked up to me in a completely unconcerned manner. Standing at such a close distance, I was short of breath. Thinking about it, this is the first time I've ever had a man look at me completely naked. The fact that I'd forgotten this in the rush of events shook my mind, and now the shame of it all is rushing in. The sweat that emerged from the tension moistened the cold skin. How long do you intend to look?
Right. The time for talking is over.
Upon hearing his declaration, my knotted lips trembled. When the outstretched hand touched my shoulder, my heart beat so hard I thought it was going to break. Internally, I was terrified, thinking of all the awful things I was about to be subjected to.
Taking a closer look at your body.
Suddenly, my feet leave the floor and my body lays flat. I raise my eyes, confused as to what has happened, and I see SUREN's well-formed face up close. I feel the muscularity of the arms around the back of my knees and understand that I've finally been picked up. Ah! I was so afraid of floating that I reflexively put my arms around his neck, and an unexpectedly gentle kiss fell on my forehead.
Anyway, tonight I will make you mine.
Suddenly whispered in a sweet voice that gave me the illusion that I was being cherished. You are awful at this. Him making me his is not going to be making love, but the enactment of a punishment. I want to fix my mouth. I want to curse myself for having even a moment of an embarrassing fantasy. Girl, you need some holy water. If you order it, I'll get into the bed myself. Having come to this point, I won't run away.
You don't like this?
It's not a matter of like or dislike. This is too far removed from my impression of SUREN. I can't believe that this is the same person who says such barbaric things. What's he getting at? With every step that SUREN took, the bed drew closer, and my body slowly stiffened with fear. Perhaps noticing my reaction with his arms that were holding me, his lips touched my ear. It was like a parent comforting a scared child, but feeling that kind of gentleness had to all be in my head. His impressions and absurd attitudes confused me more and more. Look, I can't read. I can't read. I'm in too much of a hurry to be like, what's happening here? Looked at each other at a nose-to-nose distance. SUREN smiled gently, but again perhaps because of my imagination. This really is all in my imagination. A terrible illusion. SUREN only sees women as nothing more than a means to procreate. So it would be crazy to feel kindness. When I looked away with an indescribable feeling, he seemed to take this as acceptance, and a soft kiss fell under my ears. At the same time, he whispers,
I'll be gentle.
When I stared up at him with increasingly complicated feelings, SUREN's eyes relaxed. What on earth is he thinking? I don't want to be treated badly, but I don't understand why he'd need to be gentle with me. This should be a punishment, not an act of love. This is a punishment, right? Is it okay to be gentle?
Is there a problem with being gentle to your own wife?
You are such a conundrum. He smiles as if that were completely natural, frustrating me. I feel like I can really see the kindness that SUREN speaks of deep in his eyes, and that makes me feel bitter. No, this man doesn't have any kindness in him. I close my eyes, not wanting to admit it, and I put a cap over all of my senses. When in doubt, when you want to escape, people unconsciously dream for answers. This is especially true for me. When I'm shaken emotionally, I always run away to the same dream. I'm always overthinking when I'm awake, so maybe I just want to know my pure wishes without all the extra stuff. This way I won't break myself with real problems that I can't do anything about.
But he's the bad one!
I knew that this was a dream because the situation before I fell asleep was too harsh. There was too much of a difference to believe that this was reality, even for a moment.
But...
Something about my younger self's voice felt off, but I was strangely convinced. It's because my mother was right next to me. Going back to my youth, I just wanted someone to protect me, so I felt ashamed of my weakness. I decided to protect Shalu, but I ran away unconsciously, and I hated that.
I'm not the bad one!
My young self repeatedly appeals to my mother. I watched from the sidelines for a while, but as I gazed absent-mindedly at the scene, I suddenly felt a sense of déjà vu. Even though I was dreaming, I seriously wondered when in the world this memory had occurred to me. As this was happening...
Yes, you weren't bad, but I think it's a shame.
I suddenly remember my mother's reply. I saw this scene when I was a little girl.
Why? I'm not bad, right?
In my young hands, I held a wooden toy that had been broken. It was a favorite of mine, one that my mother had made, but a boy took it from me and broke it. Naturally, I was upset. Furious, I cried out, "I hate you," and ran away from him. My mother spoke while calming me down.
Anger clouds people's eyes easily. It makes us confused about the essence of things. And then you can't properly say the things that you need to say.
Essence?
Things that are really important. We become sad, angry, and get into disagreements with other people. I often had fights with your father like this. But when we calm down, we can see things from a different perspective. Naala, perhaps due to your anger, you've also failed to notice something important. And that's why I think it's a shame. So maybe you could try thinking about why that boy stole the toy.
Mommy, it's difficult.
I'm sorry. Actually, there are times when I find it to be difficult too.
Really?
Right. This is what your father taught me.
Daddy.
Yes, your father never stopped. He tried to look at people from all directions, no matter how desperate he was or when something terrible was done to him. He saved me, and I want you to inherit those wonderful eyes of his, and use those eyes to shape your destiny.
I don't get it, but I'll do my best.
It's okay. I believe in you. You may be a crybaby, but you are a strong girl.
My younger self stared at the broken toy in my hand. At the time, I didn't understand what she meant by essence, but I knew it was a very important word. So I muttered it softly again and again, trying to remember until I understood. As I was absorbed in thought, my mother smiled at me and gently patted my forehead.
I believe in you.
My consciousness floated in the air as if those words had pushed my back. Those words of belief in me echoed from the ground over and over, leading me into the light. Hello. Alright, well, I guess we're married now. While wandering in between a dream and reality, I stir at the presence of a person. I wasn't sure whether to fully awaken or not, and I was overcome by a terrible sense of weariness. I'm completely exhausted, and even a single finger feels heavy. However, I can't go back to that dream. So I had no choice but to let my consciousness flicker on the borderline between the two.
Naala.
He repeated his whispered call, probably thinking I hadn't woken up. A very small voice, almost lost in the breath. It sounds like he is apologizing or asking for something, even though he is just calling my name. Since he kept calling my name like that, I eventually realized who was by my side. I didn't want to know, though.
Naala.
Calling for me again, I remembered the situation before I fell asleep. Right, I was about to turn away from the abomination, but then I noticed a strange sensation and aborted my turn. Why? A tuft of hair, perhaps scattered on the bedding, is tossed about. The first thing I felt was not discomfort, but doubt. Why would he play with the woman's hair whose only purpose to him is to have his child? Moreover, while calling my name, this is just like... It's like I'm being loved. Seriously, though, how terribly do Roos men treat you women? I have so many questions. It's like, when a guy pats my hair, this is love. I'm like, are you okay? I regretted it as soon as I thought it. I was saddened that I had another illusion that never existed. I hate it and want to open my eyes, but I missed my opportunity because SUREN spoke again. He's smiling.
For you, you're just making a sacrifice to save your friend. But I'm grateful. Thank you for choosing this path.
I didn't want to be thanked, or his gratitude. I was scared, as I felt like if I accepted his words, I'd no longer be the royal sister. I don't know if that's what you should be concerned about in this moment. So with anger, I rebuked my own heart, which was shaken with confusion.
Naala, from tonight, I will protect you. That is my role as your husband.
Husband? Protect? What the hell? You're just a kidnapper. Don't call out to me in that voice. SUREN's voice gradually becomes distant. I wanted to say nasty things, but I was so fatigued that I couldn't even open my eyes. Aware of it, I think from the bottom of my heart, we really are the worst couple. End scene.